In this video, we'll be going through the story of Muzan Kibutsuji, the progenitor. Backstory: when Muzan was in his mother's womb, his heart stopped multiple times. He was said to have been stillborn, having no pulse and not breathing. However, when he was taken to be cremated, he released his first cries. As a young man, Muzan was diagnosed with a disease that would kill him before he reached the age of 20. The doctor treating Muzan gave him a special prototype medicine. Enraged by his worsening condition, Muzan killed him. Only after killing the doctor did he realize that the medicine was actually working and helped him acquire a strong body. He realized he needed to consume the flesh of humans to survive, but was not bothered by this fact. His new, more serious problem on the other was his inability to walk in the sunlight, as doing so burned him severely. It was during this moment that he truly regretted killing the doctor before he could have finished his treatment with his blue spider lily medicine. He searched the entire country for the flower, but couldn't find it. Due to this, Muzan started to create more demons and planned to spread them in the world, hoping that one of them would eventually find a way to overcome the sun, or at least help him in his quest to find the blue spider lily. This desire to be in the sun again became his one true goal, and he spends hundreds of years chasing this obsession. Before we continue with Muzan's story, we want to thank Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Imagine over 600 different champions, all from unique factions and with their own stories, fighting fearlessly in the mythical land 𝐷𝗲𝗏. Well, you don't have to imagine anymore. Use my links below to download Raid yourself, to your phone or PC. This month, Raid just brought the latest addition to its huge boss roster, and it's Raid's biggest and scariest yet, the Hydra. This thing is the ultimate beast. It's got multiple different heads, and each one has unique characteristics. To be honest with you, I'm still trying to figure out how to take this thing down, but I'll manage, eventually. Currently, my favorite champion is this guy named 𝐾𝐽. He has this amazing ability called Acid Rain that lets me damage all my opponents simultaneously. I really like the way all the champions are designed. Even the most basic champions look so cool. Raid's also given away a super limited edition champion to every player in the game. Some of you may recognize him already. It's Counter-Strike legend and superstar Simple. All you have to do is log in for 7 days between now and January 28th, and he's yours. This is the best time to get started in Raid, and if you use my link in the description or scan my QR code, you'll get a free mystery champion straight away to kickstart your game. Thank you, Raid, for supporting the channel. And let's get back to the video. Around the 𝐕𝐢 era, Muzan found a young girl named 𝐷𝗲𝐏 who was afflicted with a disease that threatened her life. She encounters Muzan and, wishing to see her children grow up, allowed him to transform her. Unused to her new body, she inadvertently killed her own family to survive, as well as another group of people. This decision haunted her to no end, and she became resentful and hateful of Muzan. But due to Muzan's immense power, she was unable to kill him with success. Muzan enslaved 𝐷𝗲𝐏, and she followed him around as a lowly servant. Sometime after, he finds Michikatsu Sugikuni, a marked demon slayer and user of the moon-breathing style. Michikatsu wanted to become more powerful than his brother, and loathed the fact that his status of being marked meant his life would soon end. Muzan issued a compromise. He wished to have a breath using demon, and in return, he could live forever and perfect his skill. Michikatsu agreed, and Muzan gave him an extremely high concentration of his blood, emerging 3 days later, transformed, and taking the name of 𝐾𝐽𝐿. Later, Muzan and 𝐷𝗲𝐏 would encounter a demon slayer named Yoriichi Sugikuni. The moment the two met, Yoriichi sensed Muzan's malice and anger, comparing him to boiling magma. Simultaneously, Muzan found nothing in Yoriichi that resembled something dangerous and didn't fear his opponent. Already satisfied having 𝐾𝐽𝐿 as his subordinate, Muzan tried to kill Yoriichi without warning. He, however, was able to dodge the blows and discerned Muzan's weak spots: 7 hearts and 5 brains that move freely around his body. Yoriichi combined all his forms into one strike and turned his blade bright red, enabling him to crush through all of Muzan's weaknesses and overpower him. For the first time in his life, Muzan became stunned, unable to heal. He sat in a pool of his blood and stared angrily at Yoriichi, ignoring his question on what he thought was the value of a life. When Yoriichi moved forward to kill him, Muzan used the remains of whatever power he had left and divided his body in a powerful burst. Though Yoriichi was able to destroy nearly all the fragments, the pieces he missed escaped and allowed Muzan to regenerate again. Muzan was deeply scarred by this encounter, and with 𝐾𝐽𝐿's assistance, the two slaughtered anyone who used sun breathing, in the hopes of preventing another demon slayer that had the power to kill him. Greatly fearful of the man he considered the real demon, Muzan never directly confronted the demon slayers again, and sent demons to do his bidding for the most part. Muzan hears news of a massacre involving the violent deaths of 67 people. He traveled to the village before meeting the culprit, an 18-year-old boy named Hakuji. He voiced his disappointment, as he believed a demon had committed the act instead of a human. Hakuji threatened him, but was silenced by Muzan piercing his hand through his head. The Demon King spoke of his plan to form a faction of 12 powerful demons, and asked the young man if he was able to withstand the amount of blood he was given. Hakuji, broken by his loss and with nothing else left, didn't resist, and became the demon 𝐴𝐾𝐲. In time, Muzan eventually succeeded in creating creating his faction, which would eventually become known as the 12 Kazuki. He transformed multiple demons and gave them a chance to join his group, rewarding them with a larger share of his blood to make them more powerful. During the Taisho era, Muzan was able to locate the 𝐂𝐫𝐸 family, who were keepers of the sun-breathing technique. When Tanjiro 𝐂𝐫𝐸 was away at town, Muzan attacked his family and proceeded to inject them with his blood, hopeful that he could create a demon who could withstand the sun. However, he was disappointed when the family died from his blood's poison. Believing that creating a sun-proof demon was not so easy after all, he left their home, seemingly unaware that there was a survivor, Nezuko 𝐂𝐫𝐸, who later turned into a demon, Asakusa Arc. Traveling through the crowd in Asakusa, Tokyo with his family, Muzan is accosted by an angry Tanjiro. Muzan's daughter asks him who the young demon slayer was, and he asked the youth if there was something he wanted from him. His wife then approached them, asking if Tanjiro was somebody familiar to their family. Muzan denies this, suggesting the boy had mistaken them for somebody else. Then he quickly slashes a passing man, turning him into a demon. During the commotion, he and his family leave, while Tanjiro is forced to tend to the demified man. Afterwards, Muzan sends his family home in a carriage without him, declaring he had some work to do. He wanders through an alley where a drunk man bumps into him. The man mocks and insults him, saying he doesn't like wealthy people like him. When the drunk man notes how pale his skin is, Muzan slashes him into a wall and proceeds to kill the man's older brother with a swift upwards kick. He then turns to the drunk man's cowering girlfriend and asks if he looks pale or close to death. Muzan answers his own questions and tells her how he is infinitely close to perfection. He then drills his finger into her forehead, pumping her with so much blood that her cells melt. Afterwards, he calls Susumaru and Yahaba and orders them to kill Tanjiro. Rehabilitation Training Arc. The lower ranks have a meeting, where Muzan appears in the form of a woman. He is very disappointed after Rui's defeat, so much so that he declares he will disband the lower ranks, and that he will now only lead the upper ranks. He kills Kamanoe after reading his mind when he thought disrespectful thoughts, and Mukugo for contradicting him. As Wakaraba tries to escape, Muzan decapitates him and renders him unable to regenerate. Rokuro tries to plead with his master and asks for more of his blood to prove himself. Seeing the demon as a failure, Muzan becomes incredibly angry and kills him for ordering his leader. Before killing Enmu, the demon states how much he enjoyed making humans suffer and thanks Muzan for letting him be his final victim. Seeing potential in Enmu, Muzan gives him a high abundance of blood. Enmu almost dies from the new load of power, but manages to survive. Muzan then gives him one last chance to prove that the lower ranks are not useless. Mugen Train Arc. Muzan leads another life among humans as a small boy named Toshikuni and pretends to have a skin condition which prevents him from stepping into the sun. After killing Kyojuro Rengoku, Akaza reports to Muzan and tells him of his victory. However, Muzan is not pleased enough by the death of the Hashira, and instead shows anger that Akaza let all the other present demon slayers get away, additionally berating him for not finding more information on the Blue Spider Lily. Entertainment District Arc. In the Red Light District, Muzan talks to Daki. He tells her how proud of her he is, and that he hopes she'll become even crueler and stronger. He also lets her know about Nezuko, and leaves it to her to kill her. After the fight, he orders the upper ranks to meet at the Infinity Castle. He is standing on the ceiling and experimenting, trying to heal his sun weakness. Muzan tells them that he won't allow any failures such as Daki and Gyutaro. Muzan regrets putting so much confidence in her and wishes Gyutaro had fought since the beginning. He tells them to serve him with a more suicidal devotion and states how he hates change. He believes change only means decline, and he didn't change for so long since he's practically perfect. He then sent Gyoko and Hantengu to destroy the Swordsmith Village before departing from the meeting. Swordsmith Village Arc. Muzan feels through Hantengu that Nezuko was indeed able to become a demon who overcame the sun, thus making his assault on the sun-breathing family a success. He was in the disguise of a small boy when he hears this. His foster mom and maid come in, but Muzan instantly kills them. He is extremely excited and sets his mind on getting Nezuko. Hashira Training Arc. He appoints Nakime as upper rank 4 and makes her more powerful. He uses her to scout the whereabouts of all demon slayers. He is quite impressed by her efforts and compliments her. He says that he is sure to soon find Nezuko and Kagaya. Infinity Castle Arc. Muzan appears at the Ubuyashiki mansion and sees Kagaya. He mocks him for his weak appearance. Kagaya tries to lecture Muzan and points out how the Hashira will never give up trying to kill him. Muzan laughs and proceeds to attack Kagaya. Before he can kill him, however, the mansion explodes, with Muzan caught in it. The explosion, which was enhanced by spike traps, manages to injure Muzan. Before he is able to regenerate fully, Tamayo appears and uses her blood demon art to keep him in place, while using a drug that can turn him into a human. Using this opportunity, Gyome Himejima appears and destroys Muzan's head. However, he is able to instantly regrow his head. As all of the other Hashira join the fight, the Infinity Castle appears, as if sucking in all people nearby and scattering them. Muzan claims he will slaughter them all tonight. As the Demon Slayers manage to beat the majority of the upper ranks and attempt to locate Muzan, several lower-ranked members are able to find his cocoon. Emerging from it, he proceeds to eviscerate all the Demon Slayers in his proximity. As he tries to regain the stamina lost from his struggle against Tamayo, he takes her head and mocks her for being unable to kill him, ridiculing that the drug she designed was useless. Tamayo angrily demands that Muzan return her family to her, to which Muzan replies that she should join them on the other side and crushes her head. He further proceeds to slaughter demon slayers and reaffirms his vow to kill all of them. Through Nakime's ability, Muzan is placed face to face with Tanjiro and 𝐕𝐢. Muzan asks Tanjiro why he is so concerned with revenge against him when he got out of the massacre of his family alive and thus can resume his life if he wanted to. Comparing himself to a great calamity, he states that it is impossible for humans to take revenge on natural disasters like rain, winds, volcanic eruptions, or earthquakes that take lives of dear ones. Humans keep on living, and that fighting him amounts to the same kind of folly. He thus concludes that the Demon Slayers fight him because they are a group of deviants, and that he is tired of dealing with them, and is the only one who wants to truly put an end to the fight. An enraged Tanjiro claims Muzan should not have been allowed to exist. A battle ensues, with Muzan extending his arms into long-bladed whips, keeping 𝐕𝐢 and Tanjiro at bay. Tanjiro navigates between Muzan's strikes and attempts at infiltrating, but is ultimately unsuccessful and slashed near his eye. 𝐕𝐢 pulls Tanjiro away, reminding the latter that Muzan's power is above any of the upper demons. Muzan wonders if they can defeat him with just 3 Hashira, and declares that Mitsuri and 𝐲𝐵𝐼 were killed by Nakime. Muzan performs more sweeps that Tanjiro can hardly avoid due to his injured eye as he stumbles. Before he can kill Tanjiro, Mitsuri appears, smashing the walls and attacking Muzan with her love breathing, but is unable to inflict any damage on Muzan, much to her frustration. 𝐲𝐵𝐼 also appears, revealing both Hashira to be alive. An angered Muzan demands his explanations from Nakime, only to learn that Yushiro had used his own blood demon art to take control of Nakime, and that he will force Muzan out of the Infinity Castle. Further angered by the opposition, Muzan tries to wrestle control of the castle back from Yushiro, as he tries to absorb his cells through Nakime. An attack from 𝐕𝐢 and 𝐲𝐵𝐼 force Muzan in the defensive, allowing Yushiro to win control. So Muzan remotely detonates Nakime, crushing her head. While her remaining cells are still alive, Yushiro uses them to take control of the castle as it continuously shifts. Before Muzan can land a critical blow on Mitsuri, Tanjiro throws a broken Nichiren blade which stabs Muzan in the head, causing him to miss. He grows furious with Tanjiro as the castle breaks into the surface. Sunrise Countdown Arc. Now at a city, the Demon Slayers are told to stall Muzan for 1 more hour and a half until sunrise. A furious Muzan, now with whips from his spine, emerges from debris and dares them to try, wildly swinging his limbs. The Hashira sees a chance to slash him, but to their surprise, he regenerates so fast that he cannot be decapitated. Before he can fatally wound them, hordes of lesser-ranked Demon Slayers push the Hashira out of harm's way, ready to die as human shields as Muzan murders dozens of them. He muses that they were fortunate to die immediately, and points to Tanjiro as an example of the contrary. Showing a horrible facial burn, Muzan reveals he injected blood into Tanjiro on his earlier attack, and that his body will be destroyed, boasting that he is already dead. Muzan and the Hashira exchange blows, and notices that the Demon Slayers with their mark activated can resist the effect of his demonic blood. As Muzan tries to land a killing blow on Mitsuri, 𝐕𝐝 saves her. Sanemi takes the chance to slash Muzan from behind, who reacts to the Hashira's attack. Sanemi tosses vials filled with flammable liquid and proceeds to set Muzan ablaze. As the battle rages on, the Hashira have difficulty in fighting Muzan, who proves to be too powerful for them. An exhausted Mitsuri, who does nothing but evade, is ultimately injured and forced out of the fight, despite her desire to battle. 𝐲𝐵𝐼 takes notice and tries to fight harder against Muzan, trying to slice and kick his severed member away to delay his regeneration, but only making a minimal difference. Remembering his own past, he decides to fight for her sake and die to meet her in another life. 𝐕𝐢 loses the ability to hold his Nichiren blade, with only a little more than 15 minutes passing. When all seems lost, Chashimaru, Tamayo's cat servant, appears and throws syringes at the Hashira, dosing them with the serum that counteracts Muzan's poison. Muzan kills the cat, and grows annoyed how Tamayo still gets in his way, even after death. 𝐲𝐵𝐼 thinks Hamuichiro may have managed to get his blade to turn red, and puts all his focus and effort into his grip, turning it red. However, he starts to lose consciousness due to lack of oxygen. 𝐲𝐵𝐼 is sent mid-air, and miraculously manages to avoid Muzan's attack, as Muzan's right arm and spinal whips are sliced. Muzan is left wondering how it happened, and realizes it is impossible for any of the Hashira to have been able to cut him. He is then sliced in his left arm, which makes him take notice the uneven cut he has in his arm. Muzan correctly deduces that somebody is attacking him while hidden through Yushiro's technique. Feeling the air around him parting, he narrows the location of his 3 attackers, being none other than Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Kanayo, whom he manages to barely slash. 𝐲𝐵𝐼 takes the chance to slice Muzan's arms, which regenerate slower due to his red blade. Zenitsu and Kanayo turn invisible again and attack Muzan in unison, causing the Demon Lord to complain in irritation at their small tricks. 𝐕𝐝 is glad to have more support, as he is able to clash his axe and iron ball to heat them through friction, increasing their attack power. 𝐕𝐝 soon slashes the left side of Muzan's torso. Sanemi and 𝐕𝐢 follow suit and clash their blades, turning them red. The Kasugai Crow warns that 1 hour and 3 minutes remain before dawn, with the Demon Slayers regaining advantage. Suddenly, Muzan performs an undisclosed technique, allowing him to defeat all his attackers simultaneously, injuring and having them crash on nearby buildings, mutilating 𝐂𝐬𝐵's left leg and 𝐂𝐤's right arm in the process. Kaneo Suyuri is left with a broken blade, kneeling in shock. Before Muzan can kill her, a recovered Tanjiro saves her, slicing Muzan's arm, leaving him shocked. Seeing Tanjiro's mutated face as a result of his poison, Muzan comments that he looks terrible, and wonders now who is the true demon between the two of them. Seeing 𝐢𝐻𝐼's image in Tanjiro, Muzan feels disgust at the Demon Slayer, while Tanjiro states that it's time they finish things. Their battle begins with Tanjiro remembering the forms of the sun breathing he witnessed during his dream. He comes to realize that the forms must be employed consecutively, one after the other, which will lead to the 13th and strongest form. Though he feels discouraged at not having 𝐢𝐻𝐼's or his father's skill, Tanjiro nevertheless ventures to attack Muzan, who sees the ghost of his former enemy on the younger Demon Slayer. Turning his blade red, Tanjiro begins to unleash the sun-breathing forms, trying to become stronger in the brink of death. Muzan is unimpressed as Tanjiro's technique is far from 𝐢𝐻𝐼's level, seeing him losing strength as he tries to secure the chance to end Tanjiro once and for all, who is weakening from exhaustion and his own injuries. Muzan, however, is unable to land a finishing blow, much to his own surprise, and realizes he too is growing weaker. He deduces that it must be Tamayo's doing, as he had absorbed her cells, and tries to communicate with her essence in the cells, to ask what the drug she injected him with was truly about. Tamayo's essence merely mocks him, much to Muzan's irritation, who proceeds to destroy what remains of her consciousness and scan her memories instead. Witnessing her memories, he comes to learn the truth, that Tamayo, Yushiro, and Shinobu Kocho did indeed develop a drug that turned demons into humans, but added an additional poison with a powerful aging effect, making Muzan age at a rate of 50 years per minute. Muzan realizes that his body has weakened as it is struggling to keep his body youthful. He begins calculating the time the drug has been active, for roughly 3 hours, meaning he has aged 9,000 years. Tanjiro keeps unleashing successive forms of the sun breathing, irritating the Demon Lord with his persistence. With 59 minutes left before dawn, Tanjiro is able to connect all 12 forms and resolves himself to reuse them all faster than before. Muzan continues to lash at Tanjiro, who is slowly being overcome with oxygen deprivation and losing his footing, but is saved by 𝐂𝐵𝐼, who is restored to health by Yushiro, and who is revealed to have lost his sight during Muzan's earlier use of his leg tentacles. The two split, as Muzan chases after 𝐂𝐵𝐼 and obliterates a building trying to kill him, but fails. As Muzan grows weaker from the aging venom and the efforts of the Demon Slayers, scars become visible across all of Muzan's body. Tanjiro realizes that those are the wounds inflicted by 𝐢𝐻𝐼, burned down to a cellular level, which never healed despite hundreds of years, and which reveal his weak points. Muzan grows horrified at the sight of his wounds, thinking that 𝐢𝐻𝐼, a mere man who displayed no apparent hostility, was in fact the true monster between the two of them by crippling him the way he did. Tanjiro and 𝐂𝐵𝐼 continue their assault on Muzan, now with 40 minutes left before dawn. Muzan grows relentless and tries to escape, trampling over the corpses of the Demon Slayers he slaughtered. This enrages Tanjiro, who proceeds to throw multiple Nichiren blades at Muzan, who deflects them, reasoning that stabs are much worse than slashes now. 𝐂𝐵𝐼 stabs Muzan in the neck from behind, making the latter use his spinal whips, which are stopped by Tanjiro, who tries to give 𝐂𝐵𝐼 a pair of Yuchiro's blindfold so he can share Kaburamaru's vision. Although Muzan wounds the two of them to block their efforts, Kaburamaru succeeds in fetching the papers, allowing 𝐂𝐵𝐼 to fight in much better condition. Muzan slowly succumbs to panic as he is running out of breath, as his strength is reaching critical lows. Muzan is further pressured by the attacks of Tanjiro and 𝐂𝐵𝐼, and with 35 minutes before dawn, Muzan deems it an unnecessary risk to continue to fight, and attempts to divide himself into lumps, escaping in the same manner he did against 𝐢𝐻𝐼. Tanjiro alerts 𝐂𝐵𝐼 of this, and panics at the idea that the two of them won't be able to destroy all the flesh lumps. However, Muzan is unable to split, as a third drug injected by Tamayo has the property to slow down cell division. Muzan communicates with the essence of Tamayo, who gleefully alerts him that there are not 3 effects, but 4. With the 4th drug causing Muzan to cough blood as it triggers cell destruction after the 3rd effect activated. The essence of Tamayo taunts Muzan that the death he so much feared is coming for him, further elaborating that she doesn't need to be stronger than him to kill him, as weakening him suffices. Muzan ponders that normally the attacks used by the Demon Slayers shouldn't be threatening, nor should prolonged regeneration prove tiring, but Tamayo's drugs have turned otherwise manageable attacks into lethal threats, and that he is unable to fully get accustomed to the toxins in his body, which are much different than those used to kill Doma. In a desperate attempt to live, Muzan opens a gaping mouth in his chest, and unleashes a potent discharge against 𝐂𝐵𝐼 and Tanjiro. With just 25 minutes before dawn, the weakened Kiryu, who witnesses the fight from afar, begs for someone to stall Muzan. His pleas are answered when Inosuke attacks Muzan, lunging at the Demon Lord, furious for the previous thrashing, and mourning the comrades, Muzan is killed and injured. Muzan, unable to further use his previous technique, retorts to lunging his arm into the ground, wrapping Inosuke with his tentacle. Inosuke is saved by the timely intervention of Zenitsu, who tells Inosuke that Tanjiro is still alive, begging the latter to stay alive for the sake of Nezuko. Muzan swings his arm at Zenitsu, crashing him into a building, but is saved by Inosuke, who stabs his arm only to be swathed away by another swing in the process. Muzan is under heavy fatigue and irritated as the boys continue to stand up to fight him. Inosuke and Zenitsu continue their assault on Muzan, with the latter using his thunder-breathing 7th form, 𝐈𝐢𝐤𝐢 no Kami, managing to slash Muzan, but the attack was more shallow than expected. Inosuke keeps attacking Muzan with his techniques, forcing the Demon Lord to employ his shockwave once more. Before he can attack Inosuke, Tanjiro recovers and unleashes successive sun-breathing techniques. Tanjiro weakens after using Hinokami Kagura, giving Muzan an opening, but has his tentacles sliced by Inosuke. Muzan swathes Inosuke away into a building, and Tanjiro loses footing, but Zenitsu manages to recover enough to use one last attack, but is himself injured by Muzan. Tanjiro seizes the chance and stabs Muzan, pinning him to a building, unable to use any more techniques as he gambles it all in keeping Muzan in place. Muzan tries to kill Tanjiro, but a recovered Kinroji entangles herself to his tentacles while ripping off his left arm, while Muzan's right arm and tentacles are sliced by Sanemi. Left with little choice, a bifurcation appears in Muzan's front, revealing an enormous bestial mouth trying to eat Tanjiro, who cannot do anything but remain in place. To protect him, 𝐈𝐲𝐻𝐼 puts himself in harm's way as he is mauled by Muzan as dawn is breaking. Muzan panics at the sight of the sun and desperately unleashes a powerful shockwave, catapulting his attackers away except for Tanjiro, who loses his left arm, but firmly stays in place, trying to turn his blade red. The blade changes, injuring Muzan. In response to the sun's menace, Muzan proceeds to enlarge on himself, adopting a large demonic baby form, absorbing Tanjiro in the process. As Muzan tries to get into shade, hordes of demon slayers block his path by tossing bookshelves and ramming vehicles on him as he fights back for a way through. He is soon blocked by another group of demon slayers, pushing a bus on him to prevent his escape. Muzan soon begins burning from the sun, forcing him to fight for his life. Before he can overwhelm the lower-ranked slayers, Sanemi appears and slices his right arm. As he tries to climb over the bus blockade, he has a chain tied to his neck by Gyome, aided by multiple slayers who pull together to bring Muzan down. As he burns further, Muzan resorts to digging as an escape maneuver, forcing Giyu, Sanemi, and 𝐈𝐲𝐻𝐼 to attack him to deplete his stamina. Soon the chains break in what appears to be a hopeless moment, but Tanjiro, who remains within Muzan, is able to ignite his blade and injure him from the inside, causing Muzan to flinch from the pain as he begins disintegrating from the sun's light. As his body fully burns to ash, the once invincible Demon Lord who ruled the shadows of Japan, spreading misery and suffering for millennia, finally laid in defeat, ending the seemingly eternal war with the Demon Slayer's victory. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to us. We will see you guys very soon in one of our next videos.